popcorn, movies.
Hi, I'm Woody Wise. I live in the Los Angeles area, and I'm president of the Cliffhangers Club. The Cliffhangers is a group of guys who meet on Saturday mornings 2 or 3 times a month to watch classic films and an old-time movie serial. I get up and set the table for the guys, make the coffee, get the theater ready. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to show that day until it's time to put it on the screen. Heat up the popcorn machine. Put on some pipe organ music. And at 9 a.m. they start drifting in.
Good morning, Cliffhangers.
The way he got killed was the Germans held up a bottle of whiskey and he charged.
That was another one. Yeah, that's it. Come on. It was up in the High Sierra or something. Or in a barn. Someone picks up a pitchfork and he's
What's the movie?
I don't know. Woody hasn't announced it yet.
All right, fellas. Fellas, movie time.
Yeah.
Movie time.
Movie time.
I wonder what it is. What are you showing? I hope it's Hello Sailor, clean as a whistle.
The Cliffhangers is a group of young men my age who watch old black and white movies mostly and serials called Cliffhangers.
We're from all different backgrounds. My background is theaters and video, working in the movie theaters. A couple are animators, or retired animators, fish truck drivers, there's retired school teachers, retired newspaper man, a retired singer. But somehow the movies bring us together.
Every Saturday morning we go in, we yak about films or books or show off our toys or whatever. You know, it's just a mixture of everything. After we do that, all of a sudden Woody starts flicking the lights in the in the big dining room where we sit, or breakfast room, whatever you call it, and that means movie time, and we go upstairs.
Round them up.
I want to tell you, this is a job for me.
Come on, Rocky, you can do it.
Who said that? Woody? I know I can do it, but not as fast as I used to.
As you can well see, we're older people. We're not young anymore, but we still remember the movies of our younger years. We still love the classics. We love what movies used to be. Very simple. This is the story. When the end comes, it says the end, and the curtain closes. It's not like that in today's films. We just want to keep, I guess we're trying to keep the past alive.
In this far-off and forsaken corner of the world, populated by crews of cockeyed people erecting castles of confusion. But suddenly, almost overnight, bigger and better movies are coming out of Hollywood. They're making more pictures faster, and more money faster. And rough, raw plots with suggestive titles are packing the theaters at every performance.
We probably lived through the best times. We had the greatest funny papers. We had the best artists that drew those funny papers. We had the greatest movies that were made at that time. We had the best radio programs. I mean, we lived through the best times.
I guess I like the older pictures better, maybe because I'm old and nostalgic, you know. Like Casablanca and those pictures. How can you beat them, you know? Or A Fair to Remember. Was that the name of the picture where they, the Empire State Building? You know, I guess I like the crime movies.
We watch the old westerns. We watch 2 movies, just like a Saturday matinee as a kid. It brings you back to your childhood. If I was a good kid, I'd get 25 cents to go to the movie, to get lunch, to buy candy with, and popcorn, and see 25 cartoons, 3 movies, and a couple of movie serials, cliffhangers.
We run mostly old films from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and mostly black and white. I guess our favorite era for the cliffhangers is film noir. The old black and white mysteries with Bogart, Robert Mitchum, Dick Powell. This is what we navigate to. Cliffhanger Day starts on a Saturday morning, of course, at around 9 a.m. Bill brings a big bag of bagels. Eric brings sandwiches for lunch. Tim brings a big box of donuts. And at 9 o'clock, we sit around the table, have our coffee and our bagels and our donuts, and we talk about films. Old films, new films, stars. What star passed away? How many? Who have we lost? Who have we gained? It's always an interesting conversation around the table on Saturday morning.
Remember the
first
Virginian on TV with James Drury?
Yeah.
There's old James Drury today.
Where's Drew?
That's what he looks like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's old.
Remember, that's what's going to happen to you.
No, jeez.
Let me see Drew.
How old is he?
He looks like Woody. I mean,
Okay, who's this? Do you recognize her?
Hey, what the hell you want to do? Put me on the spot?
keep my hand
He's got
over
a-
the
he's
name.
got-
He's on reading
He's got 2
glasses.
pairs of glasses.
Yeah,
on.
where the hell
Where
are
are your
they?
sunglasses?
You need to get
now?
your lens fixed.
Oh, here they are. Here's the Phil Silvers glasses.
Oh, that's Phil Silver's glass?
yeah,
Never saw her.
there was a Phil Silver.
Eva Marie Saint,
You're kidding.
North by Northwest.
Oh my God.
No, none of these people look like who I remember them. Tell me that looks like Mary Saint. Look,
That's Eva Marie Saint.
tell me.
I thought it was Hoot Gibson.
See that? Go ahead, tell me that looks like her.
Don Murray looks good. Don Murray.
John Murray hangs on there pretty good. Probably takes care of him.
Cliffhangers have been meeting for over 30 years, and at the present, my little theater only seats 9, so there's a waiting list, I guess, to be a cliffhanger. The only way to become a new cliffhanger is to unfortunately pass away.
You find the truth hard to take, huh?
And it's funny, you know, every one of the cliffhangers has his own seat. So if we do happen to have a guest and we have an empty seat, somebody's not here, I always have to explain to the new guy, everybody has their own seat. A cliffhanger in the early days, in the 30s and 40s, was a story that they put in chapters, so that every Saturday you would have chapter 1, chapter 2, right on, usually 12 to 15 chapters, where it would have the kids coming back every Saturday to see the next chapter. It was a way to get them into theater, and yet it was a nice way to put an adventure on the screen with a cliffhanger at the end where you thought, sure, the star was dead. There was no way he could get out of this, but somehow, next Saturday, he survived.
Is the car going to go off the cliff? Is the hero going to survive? Come back next week and you'll find out. These guys who are older than I am remember seeing those serials in the theaters back when they were kids.
Watch it.
Who's that, Rocky?
I always seen those serials.
See, there he is. So I call it junk. It's not really junk, but it gets these California land barons all red.
Look, Woody, Timmy wants to see Daredevils of the West this last chapter.
Greatest cereal ever.
We'll wait till he gets his nap in. Once he gets his nap in, then we can show the cereal.
His nappy.
All right, let's get going with the film.
I'm the junior member and I'm more screwed up than any of them. Holy moly.
I was at my grandparents' house and they were babysitting my brothers and I. And I remember seeing a cartoon on television. It was probably Popeye or Heckle and Jekyll or Mighty Mouse in the early 50s. I didn't know what it was, but I thought, man, I want to do that. And I took the coloring book and closed the coloring book and got paper and started drawing.
Most of us dream of what we want to be when we grow up. For Tim Walker, it came true.
I can remember when I was 4 or 5 years old seeing a cartoon on television, and I was hooked. I used to ride my bike after school right up to Hanna-Barbera Studios and jump in the dumpster because they used to throw away the drawings.
Soon, he was doing the drawings, one of his first jobs at Hanna-Barbera.
I was in the trash can. I was 10 years old one day taking the cells. It was on a weekend, and I hear this, "Get out of that trash can, you knothead." I stuck my head up and looked around, and there was a guy standing there, and it was Mr. Barbera. I didn't realize it until many years later. Went to high school and D'd and F'd my way through high school because I didn't care about anything but drawing. Algebra, geometry, I could care less. I'm going to be in animation. Went to Chenard Art School, downtown Los Angeles. My junior year, started working in animation in 1969 at a studio called Fine Arts Films, and they did a picture, an animated feature called Archie and Mehetabel. I think it lasted about a week because in those days, if you weren't Disney Studios, it was really tough to get an animated feature off the ground. But it was a great experience. There were a lot of old-time animators there that I learned a lot from, and it was a lot of fun. I've never had a real job my entire life. You want to pay me to do this, draw cartoons? Heck, where do I sign up? So I've been blessed. I lived my dream, and I don't know many people that live their dream.
This is my little inner sanctum where I come and do all my... When the wife and I can't stand each other anymore, I just come out here and get away from it. You know, this is an original Hanna-Barbera desk. This is one of the original desks from Hanna-Barbera. Worked at all the studios. I worked at Hanna-Barbera, I worked at Filmations, I worked at the Patty Freeling, which is now Marvel. I worked at Warner's, I worked at pretty much at all. See, when I was in the business, there was only like 4 major, I think it was 4. Disney's, Hanna-Barbera, Filmation, and the Patty Freeling. They were basically the 4 big studios at the time. And everybody knew everybody from one studio to the other. So when you walk into those buildings or into those studios back in those days, you could just walk in the front door and everybody would know you. Hey, Exter, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, great to see you. Hey, you want a job? Oh, yeah, come to work over here. It was very simple because it was like a one big family, the animation. Today, it's the big portfolios, and then you gotta hope you hear from them again. And they just take the portfolios 90% of the time and don't even look at them. They just throw them in a room. These poor kids today are waiting to hear something, you know, and eventually they get to them and then they write them a letter of rejection. It's not what we're looking for. The trick of getting into the studios today, and it was the same thing when I was in the studios, you have to know somebody in the inside. I used to live in San Pedro, and I was pumping gas in a gas station down in San Pedro. And one Friday morning, the phone was ringing when I opened up the gas station, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I grabbed the phone, and it was Howard from Hanna-Barbera Studio. Bill, he says, this is Howard. He says, I got a job to offer you. It's not in the animation department. He says, but we need a driver. He says, would you be interested in that? I said, damn right I would be. He said, well, can you get your buns up here this afternoon, because we want this driver that we're getting rid of to be out of here because he keeps smashing up the trucks. I said, I'm on my way up. And then just then, my boss came into the gas station, and I said, Howard, his name was Howard too. I said, my big break in Hollywood came, I'm dumping the gas station business. He said, oh, great, great. Get out of here, good luck. So I went up on a Friday. This kid showed me where to go, because at that time you had to go to laboratories, you had to go to the TV recorders where they recorded dialogue, and you had to pick up all these tracks and artwork from animation cameras and all kinds of things you had to pick up every morning and bring to the studio for each day's work. So Howard says to me, you start Monday. I said, okay. So I came in early Monday morning. He says, now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to introduce you to Bill Hanna. So he took me in the office, and there was Bill Hanna sitting at his desk. Tie open, shirt open, he had his foot up on the desk like this, and he was looking grumpy. He always looked grumpy. And Howard Hansen says, Bill, I want you to meet our new driver. This is Bill Exter. So Hanna looked at me, scowled at me for about 30 seconds. And then he got up from behind the desk. And he comes around the desk and he says to me, pointing his finger at me, now look, every damn truck driver I've had has wrecked these trucks. It's Chevrolet pickup trucks. He said, I'm getting damn sick and tired of having to pay for repairs on smashed trucks. He says, if you so much as put a dent in this truck, my truck, he says, just leave the truck where you got hit, where you're down, just leave the truck there and get your butt out of town, because if I catch you, I'm going to beat the living hell out of you. You know? He says, you got that? I said, oh yeah, sure, fine. And he looked at me and he said, good. And he shook my hand. He says, now get to work. Get out of here, get to work.
But I fell back in love with what I loved as a child, with drawing. And I would try to draw at least 1 or 2 pages a day. So I did that for several years. And then in 2007, I started to notice, I'm right-handed, I started to notice a weakness in my right arm. And I thought for sure it had to be carpal tunnel syndrome because of the repetitive stress, you know, writing and drawing for so many years. So I had to go to the doctors. I went to the doctors and he sent me to a neurologist. And the neurologist diagnosed me, and boy, it was like a left hook that dropped me right to the ground. Lateral Parkinson's disease on my right side, which destroyed pretty much my right arm and my right leg. So I left that doctor's office and I was leveled because I figured I'm going to watch my career disintegrate right in front of my eyes.
He's too young, you know. You could maybe understand somebody that was 90 years old getting it, you know, in their late 80s, but some people it moves pretty quick on, some people it's very slow, you know. Some people suffer in one way and some people suffer in another way.
So after the diagnosis sunk in and I decided I'm going to teach myself to draw left-handed, I went to the art store and I bought a sketchbook. And this was the sketchbook I bought. And the first thing I did was write drawings from the left. And this was the first page that I drew left-handed, my first attempt. And I had never drawn anything left-handed before, ever. It never dawned on me to. These are all left-handed, and I dated every one of them. And they're just, you know, whatever comes to mind. Here's page 1 of the 5th sketchbook, left-handed. And the characters have gotten a little bit better each time. And like I say, I never know what I'm going to draw. It's just whatever happens, happens. So here's the last one that I finished in the book. I finished this guy this morning. And here is the most intimidating page in the book right here. The blank sheet of paper. The most intimidating thing that an artist faces. But it tends to be that I never know what I'm going to do, but once the pencil hits the paper and it just kind of starts going, then it all works out. You know, it just all works out.
Like I told you, I started at Hanna-Barbera as a studio driver. Well, Jack Nicholson started as a driver for MGM cartoons. We both started as studio drivers. Only Jack Nicholson made something of himself. I didn't. I just, you know, I just carried on. Oh, and here's another one of the characters I worked on. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see, what else we got here? Hey, here's some of the Yosemite Sams. See, even here, I do him without his guns on. Yosemite Sam can't wear guns anymore. The anti-gun people got all worked up, you know, that you know, he's got guns on. So we had to take the guns off Sam. No, it's just absolutely insane, but that's the kind of society we live in today. Back then, through the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, there wasn't this political correctness. You know, everybody's so sensitive today. We could do Porky Pig stuttering. We could do Sam shooting his guns off, making fun out of drunks. You can't do that today. Everything is so political correct now. All these groups are very sensitive and afraid, you know, so the studios have to comply because, you know, the lawyers come out of the woodwork and are ready to sue, and the studios don't want that. So they say, okay, no more stuttering Porky Pigs. You know, at the end of the Warner Brother cartoons, they, you know, folks can't do that anymore, you know. So it's a shame because, like I say, they wrote these things for a general audience who were just laughed at them, that were there for laughs, and that's the way movies were then. But today, you know, okay, and here's Tom, the cat. I worked with an animator called Kenny Muse. He was an Academy Award animator who won an Academy Award for an MGM cartoon with Tom and Jerry called Cat's Concerto. The cat in Cat's Concerto was playing a piano. And Ken always told me, he says, I had a piano key drawing up on my desk. And when that cat hit a C note, he hit a C note in the cartoon on the piano. That's how precise the animators were. Well, this is a rough I was putting together. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to clean it all up.
Yeah, great.
If it comes out as nice as I want it to, then I might frame it, you know.
Woody would probably be Doc, because Doc was kind of the ringleader of the Seven Dwarfs, kind of the head guy. Rocky would probably be Grumpy. Bill Exter, Bashful. Dennis would be Sneezy. Eric would be Sleepy. Jack would probably be happy because he's always getting DVDs every time he shows up. He's got the most massive DVD collection in the world. Well, that's gotta be me. Who would be dopey enough to hang out with these guys? I mean, I'm the youngest guy there, and I'm probably physically the most messed up of all of them. So, I mean, I'd have to be dopey.
Doesn't seem to be slowing him down to get him to the cliffhangers, does it? He gets there, and you know, watches his movies and complains and makes a scene when he feels like being silly. But
I decided I've got to do a book called, I'm going to call it Drawings from the Left or Parkinson's Pictures. And it's not a book about myself and my art. It's a book about inspiration, about how you can get through anything. You don't give up. So I self-published this book called Drawings from the Left, or Parkinson's Pictures. It proves to me what they say. You don't realize what you're capable of until the rubber hits the road. Until you're really faced with it, you just don't know. I had no clue I would be able to draw these kind of characters left-handed. And I don't know if for a fact this disease will go to my left side. If it does, it does. I mean, there's nothing I can really do about it. I'm optimistic. I believe that I'll see a cure for this disease in my lifetime. I've always been optimistic. I've never been real pessimistic. And if it does go to my left, I'll figure out something else to do. I'll become an abstract painter, and I'll do abstract paintings, very abstract, and go figure, I'll probably become a billionaire. But I'll worry about that when it happens, if it happens. Anyway, so that's the book. For some reason, I like this little kid drawn on everything.
Is that little kid you think?
Yeah, it probably is me when I was a kid. And everybody says, well, how come your picture isn't in the book? There's my picture right there. He's drawing me. Yeah, and he's left-handed. Thanks for coming.
At his first book signing, hundreds showed up, and Tim Walker finally realized something. Life doesn't always go in a straight line, and the final picture depends less on perfection and more on perspective.
And I fully believe that my career at this point is inspiration. You don't throw in the towel, you fight to the bitter end. You never, ever give up.
We are about to go and watch a movie, and Woody won't tell us what it is because he's afraid if we saw it, we may go home. So he uses that suspense. And then we end up seeing what it is, and we still may go home. I don't know. Ho, 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 and a bottle of rum.
The one thing that I do on my cliffhangers is nobody knows what they're going to see. If I tried to give a list of films to 9 guys and say, what do you want to see today? We would never get to see in the film because nobody can choose. So they never know what they're going to see until the film starts. We're not going to start a new serial today, but I have 4 that you need to choose from.
Oh, I love Zorro.
Cereals?
There's 3 of them in that.
But only 2 I want to pick from. Zorro's Fighting Legion, Zorro's Black Whip, Gene Autry and Phantom Empire, and Bela Lugosi and the Return of Shandu.
Phantom Empire.
Well, we ran that one about 10 years
Well, a long time ago, we probably ran them all, but
No, I don't remember
I want to run one.
We never run that, I know. And I like the cliffhangers, the serials. That's why we originally started it as serials when we first started. We used to go up every Saturday. It used to be every Saturday we'd go up there. Then he cut it to 2. When he moved to his home, he cut it back to 2 times a month. Then we'd go and eat out at the restaurants before. And that's where we used to go to the Smokehouse. We used to go to Don Kukla's. We used to go to Baroni's. There were all different restaurants up there. And Woody'd go and we'd eat lunch there and then come back and watch another movie.
Okay, he wanted to vote. Go ahead. What are you voting?
I don't know.
Well, I would say Zorro's Fighting Legion, but that's me, but
I should have never given you all the choice.
That's right. That's a big mistake.
Somebody's picked one of each, so I guess I'll have to choose.
You'll have to make the final
what did you
decision.
pick,
I'll make the final
I picked the one that he chose.
What?
I didn't choose one.
Well, whenever you do.
I say Charlie Chan goes to the commode.
Oh, he didn't.
Now you know why. Now you know why I don't tell you what we're going to see. To attend every 2 weeks and watch 2 movies that you don't know what you're going to see. It takes a real movie buff and a special person. Right now, all the cliffhangers are that. Cliffhanger started in the early 1980s, so you're looking well over 35 years.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, ships at sea, and all fish trucks on Pacific Coast Highway. I'm Woody Wise, president of the Cliffhangers Club, with guys who gather every other Saturday to watch their heroes up on the big screen just like they did when they was a little kid. Besides myself, there's Alan Flash Wade.
No, I don't believe so.
John Wrecking Ball Hintz, also winner of our chili cook-off. There's Brian Small Wrecking Ball Hintz. There's Jack Yellowtail Turk.
Howdy.
Of course, blacktail, whitetail, whatever comes along, I'm sure he'll take. There's Cookie John Chelkoff. There's Bill Looney Tunes Exter. And there's Don Smooth Talk Page, our secretary, keeper of the minutes, and master of the bubbly.
There's me, Alan Wade, and Woody were the first three in it. And then John Hintz, he passed away, and then Bill Exter was there too. So that was about the start. But most of those other guys, they came in when people passed away.
We've lost 2 or 3 members. They're up there watching films up with some of their favorite stars in the skies.
I know that, but the Indians didn't know it.
We always find a new cliffhanger.
My name's Richard. I'm a member of the Brotherhood of the Popcorn, and I've been coming about 5 years or so. I'm the last one that have come into the group as a regular, so. And I haven't been kicked out yet. I met him at the Burbank Y in the water aerobics class. We were celebrating one of the ladies' 100th birthday, and my wife opened her mouth and said, I like movies. So Woody started talking about his Saturday things, and I was really a substitute for a while. When someone couldn't make it, he'd call me. And then eventually someone did drop out, and I took a permanent place, so I enjoy it a lot.
You've been a cliffhanger for at least 25 years.
Pretty close. Okay.
Yeah, 25 years. One of our faithful brings our goodies all the time.
Thank you.
And Woody, our leader, is kind-hearted. That's the best way I could describe him. And someday, I'm going to give him sainthood or something like that. He's so good to us. It's in a beautiful setting where we are. Betty Davis was a neighbor at one time.
The home I'm in now is built on the old Betty Davis estate. My home is built where she had her Arabian horses, and she had many homes in that era. We feel that she lived here from 1938 to 1945. Her original home still sits behind me, now owned by a gentleman from England. But I'm very happy here. I'm retired now from the video business and look forward every 2 weeks to my cliffhanger group. So we watch the old films and the serials. That's what we look forward to. I collect a lot of motion picture memorabilia, but mostly posters. And I love big posters. I like 1 sheets and 3 sheets and 6 sheets. There's not a lot of places you can put a 6 sheet, but in my theater I have 3 of them, so they're very nice, large posters. Other than that, the only thing I have that stands out is I have an original chair from Rick's Cafe in Casablanca, which I cherish. Also, one of my loves is a theater pipe organ, the Wurlitzer theater pipe organ, or any theater pipe organ. My senior year of high school, our senior trip was to New York City. One of the things we went to was Radio City Music Hall. And I was just fascinated, not only being a theater buff, but now being in one of the greatest theaters in the world. And the sound came of the pipe organ coming out of the walls, and I was just engrossed in this theater pipe organ.
The theater organ is really an iconic part of the movie-going experience. It was at the turn of the 20th century when an eccentric Englishman named Robert Hope Jones came to America with the idea of building a pipe organ that sounded like an orchestra. It was really the world's first synthesizer. Well, his ideas were great, but he wasn't a very successful businessman. In 1910, he sold all his copyrights and patents to the Wurlitzer Company, and in 1915 they built the first mighty Wurlitzer pipe organ, and the timing couldn't have been better. 1915 was also the year of Birth of a Nation. Silent films became feature films. All of a sudden there appeared this wonderful instrument to accompany them, and at the same time the movie palaces emerged. Theater owners were quick to figure out if they had a mighty Wurlitzer pipe organ, they could hire 1 musician to play, save a boatload of money, and the organ and the organist became an attraction for their theater. It was a great commercial success, and it ended up becoming an iconic part of American entertainment.
All right, My first fascination with movies was at the age of 7 or 8 in my hometown of Alexandria, Virginia. My dad, every Wednesday night, went bowling and would drop me off at the local theater, where I was fascinated more with the light coming out of the projection booth than I was what was on the silver screen. My first fascination with movies was projection and the light and how it reached the screen.
My name's Paul Rayton. I am a projectionist here with the American Cinematheque at the Egyptian Theater here in Hollywood. Technically, my job title is chief projectionist because I work with several other people who handle the bulk of the shows anymore. They do most of the projection, and currently I'm sort of administering things.
My first job at 14 years of age was a projectionist in a little theater called the Sylvia Theater at a complex called Ward's Corner in Franconia, Virginia. It was a thrill threading up projectors at that age, and I still miss the actual feel of film today.
The person who's going to be doing this will need a number of skills to work with the print and know how to handle the print carefully. What are the nuances of the images that are on there? Because there are lots and lots of things that are not readily apparent, technical aspects of it and artistic aspects of it, and what can happen to a photographic image as it's stored over the years, and how to work with it going through a projector. And prints are just getting older and older and older. The prints that are out there now are from sometimes the 40s and 50s, and they become fragile. There can be stresses on the perforations, you can have warping, you can have curling, you can have shrinkage, or a combination of all those things, and every one of them makes the film behave a little bit eccentrically as it goes through the mechanism here.
When the Cliffhangers started over 30 years ago, it was all 16 millimeter film. After a couple of years, prints of the titles, different titles, was getting very hard to get. And that's just when digital was sort of starting. So gradually, digital took over. Without digital, we would not be able to see the movies that we see today. But without film preservation, we wouldn't have those digital movies. So I encourage film preservation like the Packard campus of the Library of Congress is now doing. So all support should be given to organizations like this.
This is another one I wrote. I held a little hand last night, so dainty and so sweet. No other hand did I hold that, what is it today? I'm forgetting the lines. God, I can't even read.
Well, you know what they say, the mind's the second thing to go.
Rocky is an exciting Italian house painter who actually painted Francis Ford Coppola's house, and he claims he was supposed to be in The Godfather, but we have our reservations.
I became a house painter. We painted for guys like Lee Marvin, Cameron Mitchell, Kitty and Gunsmoke, Lloyd Nolan, a great guy, Paul Fix, who's in all the John Wayne movies. And that's the story of the painting. But when I got married, I didn't even have a job. So I don't know why my wife married me, except that I was good looking and personality, and all that stuff.
Rocky's hard to talk about.
What's the movie going to be, so I know?
It's going to be a movie.
Is it going to be worth me going upstairs?
He's a big Italian, you know. He got the... Well, I'm Irish, so I say he got the O in the wrong end of his name when he's Italian, you know.
Good morning, Mr. Zip Zip Zip, with your haircut just as short as mine.
Rocky. I'd have to tell you in Italian, and there's a word in Italian that describes Rocky. I mean, there is, but I can't say it. I can't say it. I can't.
C'è la luna mezza mare, mamma mia, mare, tare, boom, boom, boom.
He's Sicilian. No, he isn't. He says he's Napolitan. No, he said he was Napolitan. He's not Sicilian. I thought he was Sicilian.
Are you Italian?
I'm Napolitan.
Sure. That's the kind I get too. But she likes the regular and a croissant.
A what?
Almond croissant.
Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, almond croissant. I don't know, I guess it's French. No, coffee and I have milk. Here, take your money.
Thank you, Rocky.
Now, we got great movies, and now what we have to do is talk Woody into showing them.
What were you going to pick?
Oh, you know, Jesus, kind of, I think I showed you, I wrote it down in the book. I wanted to find the movie that my wife wrote down there somewhere.
This is Rocky's iPad.
My version of the iPad.
Yeah, the iPad.
Oh, here they are.
All right, here
They are. You ready? Cloak and Dagger, Hoodlum Empire, City That Never Sleeps, Desperados of the West, Federal Agent versus the Underworld, Iron Claw, A Night to Remember. That's my pick. I was 10 years old. Gunga Din was my favorite movie. I liked Victor McLaughlin, Fairbanks Jr., and Cary Grant, and I liked the action.
Take your hands off that man.
The other one is Robin Hood. Errol Flynn is my favorite. And then there's Maltese Falcon with Humphrey Bogart. The Guns of Navarone. Those are my top guys. I can keep on going. At my age, I went through a lot of them, you know.
Jerome Cortland.
An actor.
He was a medium star. He wasn't anybody. And then here he is today. Point.
Oh, crap.
It's amazing what happens to them, isn't it?
Give me those old actors and actresses, and I just don't think. It's a different setup altogether. The younger crowd likes the younger, and the older crowd, you ask them, they'll go for the older.
Well, I was watching a movie the other day. This guy got drunk, and then this woman got mad at him, and she kicked him, and put his eye out, and then he's going around with a patch over his eye. Old Ralph Meeker. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember him, but I don't remember that.
The movie, Wild Night or something was called. Carolyn Baker. Remember Carolyn Baker?
Oh, sure. Not to be a prude, but in the old days, a couple got in bed, and it was the day after. Now they go and show you. They go as far as they're really doing it and stuff. But in those days, they left a lot to the imagination, which I found better. And that's what I used to like about radio. You had picture who the person was. You know, like a Gunsmoke or Gildersleeve or Jack Benny. But of course now with the TV, you know who they are, what they look like. But the fat man, the thin man, back in those days you didn't know. It made it more interesting, I think. And that's the way I see it. Now my father used to say the good old days. I'm going to be saying the same thing about these guys today. They're going to be saying the good old days, you know? And I can't even understand some of the songs. Like they got a rag in their mouth. You got to be with it, you know what I mean? I enjoy it, but I don't dig it as much as Frank Sinatra, Perry Como, Dean Martin, Tony Bennett, Nat King Cole. I love their voices. And the funny thing is, most of the Italians are singers in Vegas, and the comedians are Jewish. And it's a trend, you know, it just works out that way.
Tim's going to Lone Pine this year.
Who? I hope. I have to clear the
For
boss.
the film festival, yes.
But I think she'll want to go because she likes the outdoors.
When is it?
It's over Columbus Day every year.
Well, when Timmy goes up there won't be a lone pine anymore up there.
Pass the hat and collect our bail. Pass the hat and collect our bail. If they ask you where I am, say I'm in an awful jam. Send that bail to the county jail.
One of my favorite volunteering jobs is the Lone Pine Film Festival, which is held every year over the Columbus Day weekend in October. Lone Pine is a small town in central California at the base of Mount Whitney, which has the Alabama Hills. These are large rock formations that are just excellent for filming, especially westerns. And they started, the first feature film made there was The Roundup with Fatty Arbuckle in 1920. And since then, hundreds of films and commercials have been made in those hills. Hopalong Cassidy made almost every one of these films there. Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, Randolph Scott.
We really focused during the festival on the history of filming here in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It's still a very active site, so it's being used all the time. Picture shows you the scene of the attack on the Rangers in the 38 serial. So you can see there's a guy up on that rock right there, and these rocks right here. So it's basically unchanged. The camera was probably up there, though, because you can see you're looking down on the horses' backs. And there's a scene over there that in Blue Steel where they run a wagon up the canyon, and we still can't figure out how they did it, but it actually happened in the movie because there are all these rocks to go bumping over, so I don't know how they did that.
They find a way in the movies. They always find a way.
They do.
Just the entire view with the rocks and the mountains behind. I mean, there's just nothing like it. How long did it take them to get up here to film?
You know, it would take a day, basically, depending. The road wasn't bad because thanks to the DWP building the aqueduct, a lot of our infrastructure was pretty good. The highways were good. There was rail connection. But Bill Whitney, who directed The Lone Ranger, told me that they would always stop at Red Rock Canyon on the trip up here and shoot some scenes, and then they could get paid for working. See, so that's why a lot of the Lone Pine films have Red Rock Canyon in them.
That's a gorgeous area, too.
That is.
Learned about this location in Lone Pine long after I'd been going to other film festivals that didn't give you the opportunity to come out here and visit the actual locations where the stars were and stand where they were and find the rock they were in. Then if you look right up over the top of them, you'll see the next little group of rocks, with this one being prominent right here. Dave Holland tells the story that back during the Civil War, the Confederate ship Alabama was having real good luck sinking Yankee ships. And there were miners out here mining for gold at that time that were Southern sympathizers. So because of all the victories the Alabama was having, the ship, Confederate States of America ship, they named the hills the Alabama Hills, and the name has stuck. Stagecoaches have ridden up and down this road. Bandits have jumped off the rocks on top of the stagecoach to hold it up. Model A's have driven through here. It goes on and on and on and on. There are 3 passes that go up that way, and over again, right up that way, right down this way.
A ton of movies.
Yep, John Wayne blew a wagon up in that area. I'm not sure where you would define the boundaries, but this area coming down this way and into here is what Dave defined as the Lone Ranger Canyon.
And even today, they're still filming there. Iron Man filmed at Lone Pine.
I humbly present the Jericho.
Big films like Bad Day at Black Rock with Spencer Tracy and High Sierra with Humphrey Bogart. It's a great little town. The festival runs every year. And one of my favorite things is I volunteer there to show the films. We turned the high school auditorium into a little theater. It has 300 seats. I handle all the video projection, and another group handles the 16mm projection. We show films from Friday through Sunday all day, so it's a very exciting time for me.
Papa Zenna, it's my man Penna on the scene with the record machine with a big bad hit called Battle of the Duels. Let 'em rip!
I don't want to go to England to see the Queen's jewels. I just want to go to a drag strip and hear the Battle of the Tools. Yeah!
Was in Times Square. They had 1245 RPM records I was telling you earlier about. In fact, I showed you a couple of Elvis Presley on the Sun label 45s. They were 12 for 10 cents. Those records are like $1,000 a piece now. and I found these weird sounding records called rockabilly, a combination of country, kind of country rock sound. It just blew me away. I just loved rockabilly. This record here, here's the review. Denny Penna, instead of Dennis Penna, like in Battle of the Duel. Musitrage, the label, Wonder Boy, sounds like he's singing from the bottom of a muddy mole. Elvis has nothing to worry about on this one.
Well, you were in competition with Elvis.
The street lights and the rain and the glow. And the first time I heard one of my records not connected to something that, like a record player or you know, not a machine that was plugged in, a radio, but we were on the radio in the car, you know, just mobile, just driving. I had Betty with me. We were in the turquoise and white 54 Olds 98. All of a sudden on came Betty, I love you. When, and the song came on and I had her with me. And that was just a strange feeling, just driving in the mist. And that's a memory that kind of sticks with me, that was good about being in the record business for a short time that I was in it. That's it.
Betty, I love you. When people see my Betty, they all stop and say, where did you ever meet a girl so sweet and gay? That's why I love her, and I always will, my Betty. Betty, you're my thrill.
Gary U.S. Bonds and I, he had New Orleans and the Quarter to Three on Legend label, I think it was. And I had Battle of the Duels, and this was like fall of 60. From Philadelphia, we did Joe Niagara in Philadelphia, and I don't remember the others. They would put on performances and bring in these groups, and they would collect money for the kids that in the thousands that would come to these arenas, and we would do our part free to plug the record. One day it was a big roller skating ring with wooden floors. We finished our songs and we're walking backstage, and the way we performed was they only brought the record. They would play it, play the 45 RPM record over big speakers into the roller skating ring, and the kids weren't roller skating at the time. They were by the bandstand. We'd get up and mouth the record. All of a sudden, the place started shaking. Gary and I had already started heading to our dressing rooms. The whole building shook. And I looked at Gary, and he looked at me, and we ran. We seen this group of kids chasing us, and we thought, oh shit, they're gonna kill us. We ran, and I got on the other side of the Dutch door and slammed it, and out came these hands like this over the top part of the door. Oh, give me your autograph. Can I have your autograph? Sign this cigarette, but oh, put your initials over here. Gary and I look, what? What? That's holy mackerel. I thought they were going to kill us. They wanted autographs.
I love her so. Well, I've got a girl named Bonnie Jean, the cutest little girl I'll ever see. I love her so. Say I've got a girl named
Those 54 Oldsmobile. 33 gram, 1933 gram. Under all those shelves and papers and books, all cars, all the way to the back. So like I said, there's probably 1,000 cartons of memorabilia there, easily. I personally, as I took you on a tour of some of the stuff and some of the properties I have and what's inside those buildings being destroyed by just lack of being able to deal with it anymore. It's, I can see the end of the tunnel coming. A lot of theater and movie memorabilia in these boxes, that's for sure. Don't accumulate. It's okay to collect, but don't just take everything everybody wants to give you. Anybody want to buy a jukebox? And we have tractors, and we have bulldozers, and we have car haulers, and we have cramps. The Game by Luella Parsons, autograph to a movie producer. and a $3 stack of 30 sheet music, it looks like. The thrill of the hunt, of course. The thrill of the hunt to find it. That's what I'm saying. Okay, that's one thing, the thrill of the hunt. But I also said earlier, don't take everything everybody gives you. Just because they want to get rid of a truckload of books and they say, hey, you want 50,000 books, 5,000 books, come get them. Don't go get them.
James Garner, the racing scene.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is racing too, the checkered flag. And even Tim, who's a big-time collector, Tim, take my advice, at moving up there into the older category of the group. Get rid of it. Get rid of it, junk. Junk. Get rid of it. Buildings, tons of it. Get the bulldozer, scrape it down. Get rid of it.
Yeah, we used to go to the show. The shows were down here, all of them. The Strand Theater, Fox Cabrillo. This used to be Newberry's here on the corner, Cress's Newberry's. It's all changed now. These were all of the original San Pedro. That's where it was down in here. It's not like it was at one time. It was, well, see, the fishing fleet used to come in. Once they changed the fishing fleet, once Mexico put a 200-mile limit on tuna, it killed everything because they didn't catch anything. They couldn't go down to Mexico. Most of that stuff was caught in Mexico. I worked here for 33 years. I started out as a box maker, then I went to icing, and then I went to filet, and then I went to truck driver for the rest of the time. So I spent a lot of time here. Seen a lot of changes in here too. San Pedro and 2nd Street, and we moved up here in 1954. It's about 45 miles from here to Woody's house. I liked movies way back when I was a kid. Westerns, we used to sit in the house here and watch them every Saturday. Westerns, that's how I got interested in them, and I never thought I would see them again until video came out. Cliffhangers too. I started with mostly cliffhangers. Then I went into the Westerns too, and then we kept going from there on out. There's 131 talkie cliffhangers, and I have like 116 of them or something like that. So I have most everything that's out. A lot of movies. Everything's full here.
And how many movies do you think you have? Do you know?
Oh God, maybe 6,000. There's a lot here. These are all in alphabetical order, so I can find practically anything in them. They're all in alphabetical order. I haven't put them over. I'll never be able to get them all on DVD. I work on them, but it's too much. We used to go to like the Saturday matinee, and it was $0.25 to get in till you were 12 years old. But we'd go in and get popcorn, and everything was only 5 cents then. I used to get a big sour pickle at the deli and eat that in the show. It was only 5 cents, so I'd go and get that. And it was mostly Westerns. There was a lot of Tarzan movies that they showed on Saturday, and we'd go every Saturday. Until TV came out, and we bought a TV in 1948. It cost around, what was it, $800. And it was a 19-inch, and then that ruined the movies, because then we see them on a TV. The actors were better, I think, in those old days, and they had a lot of character actors. You don't see them now anymore in these movies. Now it's too much digital stuff and using all effects and everything in these things. I like the older ones, that's all.
What is happening here and what is being said may appear to you as a part of a confusing puzzle. But this is everyday action and everyday conversation on the soundstage of a motion picture studio.
Put a silk on number 22.
What I like about old movies is they seem to be a lot more human and tell more interesting stories, and stories that affect your heart. And you sit there and, shed a few tears, and you really feel something for the people. And when you see When the movie is over, you feel like you've been through it with them. It's not just a movie you see on the screen, but you've been a part of it. That's what I like about the old ones. Of today, I like Meryl Streep probably the most because she can do anything. I mean, I'd watch her do a toilet paper commercial because she's so versatile. But years ago, I liked Susan Hayward a lot, and Katherine Grayson, Judy Garland, Olivia de Havilland, Errol Flynn was good, Betty Davis. I mean, go on and on. There's a lot of good old people. They're not around anymore, you know. But their talent is still on film. That's what's important. You know, you can still see them. And some of the kids of today go, who? Who's that? You know, they it's a different generation. They just don't know a lot of the old stars that really had a lot more talent than some of them do today.
And this wonderful man is world famous, and we're very happy to have him here to thank him for Lawrence of Arabia, and for Beckett, for the ruling class, for My Favorite Year, for The Lion in Winter. This is the first time that the concrete is actually made to mimic the desert sands of Arabia, and is also going to be flecked with gold dust. So indeed, we're very proud to honor certainly a golden man in all of our lives, Peter the Great. Here's Peter O'Toole.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's many years since I had an intimate relationship with cement. And that relationship turned out to be not a happy one.
Just a wave this way, Peter.
Arabia in 1962 and got an Academy Award nomination. Since then, he has received 5 other Academy Award nominations and has starred on Broadway as well as on the silver screen. He's written an autobiography, Loitering with Intent. A lot of this book is about Adolf Hitler, who seems to, this is your life from 0 to 21 here, who seems to have had some kind of, I mean, why does he occupy so much space?
It's a great shadow over my childhood.
Why? Because...
Primarily because I was taken to a newsreel.
Yeah.
We had to think of a news cinema. They were at railway stations. And they were perfect for children. They lasted an hour. There'd be a newsreel, then the Three Stooges, Popeye, Donald Duck, Travelogue. Yeah. And it was a little paradise of mine. I used to go with my mother or father. When I was about 4 or 5, I was watching. Along came Hitler. He scared me.
I'd heard from a friend that Peter O'Toole was looking for a particular film that I had access to. It was Rogue Male. It was a 1976 British film made for television. I secured the film and sent him a copy of it, and to my surprise, he sent me a 6-page letter about why this film was so important to him. The letter is very important, very historical. But anyway, he starts off, "You have gladdened my spirits, Woody Wise. On my return from a brief holiday on the Isles of Madeira, here, snug and safe in my pajamas, a digital copy of Rogue Male." The letter goes on, is very important because Geoffrey Household, who was the author of Rogue Male, and in the 1930s he was with the Foreign Office in Europe, and he devised a plan that he could carry out to assassinate Hitler. He felt if Hitler could be assassinated, there would be no more Nazi party and no more chance of murders romped through Europe. Even though it was approved by Winston Churchill, after a little while it was canceled, and he felt that it really should have been done, so, or at least tried for this assassination. He went into despair and went off, and while he was away, he wrote this book, Rogue Male. The other interesting aspect of this time was in 1973, Peter became very ill and was expected to die. Not many people knew this, and he was recuperating for the next year or two. So when the director of Rogue Male came to him and wanted him to star in this film, he was still ill, but he was almost better. The director said, "Come on, you can do this, and I want you to play the part." So that's another reason he likes this. The director gave him a chance to make a little comeback after being ill for 3 years and star in Rogue Male. So the picture means a lot to him in many aspects. I love that line. "You have gladdened my spirits, Woody Wise." That is a real treasure to me. The Cliffhangers are run just like a regular movie theater. I ask no cell phones, no talking. That doesn't always work.
That's a good
Popcorn spill on aisle 12.
That reminds me of a joke.
Uh-oh.
Rocky, what's with the sunglasses?
His eyes are swollen for some reason.
Oh, really?
It's because probably he's a diabetic and he was eating donuts. I'm going to call his wife.
Oh.
Well, are we ready for the greatest cereal ever made?
Oh my God, this is like, I better give me a sedative first so I'll calm down because this is too much.
Politics. We try to keep out of politics.
Is Obama gonna get elected again?
I don't know. This guy's gonna make it.
I got money that says he will.
Whenever there's a chance, they talk politics when Woody's not watching, of course, or listening. But he keeps them quiet. He keeps things in order. He's a good leader, and Sandy is too. She gives you the look.
Sometimes I'm in the kitchen and I hear him talk about politics, which is a no-no, and I kind of laugh because usually Woody's upstairs making popcorn when they do that. But and sometimes they say some off-color stuff. They don't know I'm there, and I go, hey, you guys. But they're gentlemen. All of them are gentlemen.
Don't talk about religion. Oh, I think they're all kind of religious. I think they thank God for every good picture we ever made.
They're all characters. They all have their own thing. Rocky feeds the dogs. Jack orders movies every other week. He's got thousands and thousands of movies. So I'm just kind of in the background.
A lot of credit to my wife, Sandy. She has endured the cliffhangers, messing up the floors, dropping popcorn, and a few other things that I can't mention.
Who peed on the floor? Not me.
Woody would die if he couldn't do this. He just breathes movies, loves his movies, and if the guys couldn't come, there would just be a big void in his life. So I like it because Woody likes it. I always have to cover up the donuts though, because they are something that bothers me.
I've never fell asleep yet. I've always tried to. That's such a comfortable chair. But I go up there before 30, 40 minutes before anybody else is even up there. I take some candy out of that box next door and I go sit there and think about life. Pretty good. And I'm a volunteer in a coffee shop here in the Joslin Center, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. A lot of these poor people, they've lost their husbands and wives, and a lot of them are on crutches and stuff. And not crutches, even wheelchairs. And you got to carry their coffee like to the dining room for them and stuff like that. Or carry something for them. Or help them any way you can.
All right. I'll give you a little more coffee and then some. Who speaks Spanish?
A lot of people here from the movie industry. Every studio has retirees here, and it's interesting talking to them.
I danced 20 years on Broadway. A little bit of acting, and I can't carry a tune. But I loved it.
I started talking, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I get wave my hands around sometime. So anyhow, I bumped into this lady's boobs next to me. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry." She said, "Don't deprive yourself." I said, "This old stuff's not so bad."
My name is Renata. I'm from Germany. I'm 72 years old. My husband died 14 years ago. And 5 weeks later, I met my boyfriend here at the dance. I always wanted to be the most sexiest senior citizen, so I'm trying to be that. Discipline every day.
What do you do?
I do butt exercise. The nurse showed it to my mom 5 years ago. You squeeze it together like that.
I'm in heaven right now. They have good food there. It's very expensive though. Like I went today and it cost me $2. That's very expensive.
This is our second home. It's a wonderful place to come to every day. There are many activities, lots of friends, lots of everything. You have to be 55 to come to this place, but 60 to eat lunch.
They have classes in almost anything you can name. Computers, yeah, they got computer classes. And they have a library, of course. It's a great place. They come from Glendale and North Hollywood and places like that. And they have senior centers in those places, but they go to Joslin.
We're getting too old. And so are you. Don't tell me I'm too old. I'm not too old. I don't need to know that.
We're having fun till the end. You know, that's what it's all about.
My name is Eric Harrison, and I live on Valley Street, and I belong to the Cliffhangers, and I hope it lasts forever.
Just the medication.
This is a
Can
new...
we take this act on the road?
Yeah, sure. This is a new look for you.
I'm clean shaven. I'm playing the whole rest of the picture completely clean shaven. I'm taking new medication, and they tell me if I'm doing well on the new medication, I'll do well with the operation because the operation works with the medication. And as you can see, I'm doing pretty doggone good. It's not even been 2 weeks yet. But I'm gesturing, I'm more animated, I'm brighter, I'm walking better, I'm drawing better. And then hopefully Dr. Frankenstein will get in town soon with his handheld drill. And I'm just gonna go drill, baby, drill. Book number 1 was called Drawings from the Left, or Parkinson's Pictures. Book number 2 is called Shaken, Not Broken. And there's the first watercolor. And it's gonna be more abstract, more impressionistic, a lot different from the first book. An homage to Ralph Bakshi, who I worked for. My Georgia O'Keeffe period, The Great American Still Life. Damnation to Salvation. The frustration and depression of having Parkinson's disease and losing my ability to draw. And then getting it back and treasuring every second of it. Taking nothing for granted. Signs of spring. A rebirth. Anyway, I'm just grateful I can still do them. I love art. I love drawing. Draw, 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 always. Never stop. I'm not going to let the disease stop me. But if you're going through anything, don't give up. And there are miracles every day. The fact that I'm holding this pencil as still as I am and I'm drawn, that's a miracle.
We're there not only for the movies, but a lot of it is just the camaraderie, friendship, being a member of the Cliffhangers. That's enough. I drive an hour down. The next thing you know, there's a whole buffet of life in that house. Everything you would want in life is there.
These films, just like the Cliffhangers, have somehow stood the test of time. They have faithfully brought us together, reinforced our brotherhood, and connect our present lives with our memories of yesterday. And just think, we couldn't have done it without popcorn, movies. Okay, fellas, let's head down to the Chinese theater and pay our respects to the footprints and handprints of the stars. We still say Grauman's Chinese. It's changed hands 2 or 3 times, but it's still Grauman's Chinese to us. Some great names in this cement that started at the beginning of time of movies and have come right up to today.
One of my favorites right here, John Barrymore, The Great Profile. Could it be you hadn't anticipated my arrival at such an ungodly hour? Indeed.
And of course, my favorite, Sean Connery. He's up there, barefooted. He can put his feet in there without shoes.
Now wait a minute. Let's get the profile.
I don't know where Humphrey Bogart is, but he's my favorite actor. Humphrey Bogart and Cary Grant, Ingrid Bergman.
Old Roy. So, but he was a #1 cowboy back in the 40s. Yeah. Eugene Autry had to go off into the military, and Roy didn't. So Roy became
the star when he was gone.
Well, here's Gregory Peck's footprints and handprints, and Gregory Peck was a friend of mine, and he was a real gentleman. I like it all. There's nothing in Hollywood not to like. A lot of great names, a lot of great stars.
Shirley Temple. My friend's father was the head of the screenwriters department at 20th Century Fox, and he in the 30s, and he used to call Daryl Zanuck at the end of every day and say, "Thank God for Shirley Temple," and laugh and hang up, because Shirley Temple kept the studio open. Her films were so popular, making so much money. His name was Gene Fowler.
Here's Humphrey Bogart's footprints and handprints, but the what he's written in there is classic. Sid, may you never die till I kill you.
Well, here's, like Woody said, here's the great Charlie McCarthy and Edgar Bergen. W.C. Fields had a running feud with Charlie McCarthy. He used to call Charlie the Woodpecker's pinup boy. He'd say, "Charles, you must come with me down to the lumber mill and ride piggyback on the buzzsaw."
Right behind you, Eric. Oh, what are you looking at? Go. You're stepping on him. And there's Dean Martin. You're on him. You're standing on him. And who's this one here? Ken Novak. That's my favorite. You got Jane Russell. Oh boy, what a woman. Marilyn Monroe. What more can we want, right? Oh, I love them all. I love them.
Somewhere along the line, I must have given in. All my bones grew weary, all my hair grew thin. Gravity and time finally took their hold. And I looked in the mirror. One morning I was old. The kids all call me Grandpa. The nurses just say Joe. It seems to me it wasn't very long ago. If you could see me then, when my hair was dark and wavy, when my figure made them swoon, I had the eye of everyone in the room. If you could see me then, with my eyes as bright as diamonds, and my heart so free from doubt, I was the one that all the talk was about. You wouldn't know me now. You wouldn't know me now. You wouldn't know me now. If you could see me then.
See you next week. Come on, kids, let's go in. Come on. It's my turn. Gotta give you an insight.
of my favorite moments up on the big screen at the Cliffhangers Club.
This better be good, buddy.
Cliffhangers Part 3, Woody's interview. That's a great noise, isn't it?
And anyway, is this still on?
It's always on.
And we're rolling.
Take one.
That's
Good morning, Peter.
Woohoo! Oh my God! Look at him go.
And then I had a little bladder problem. I had an infection there and had some stones, all this crap that happens when a guy gets to be older. Other than that, I'm fine.
Awesome.
Oh, how's the puppy? No good.
Oh, God. I got barf on me, poop on me.
Yeah, but how is she doing?
Oh, she's like...
She wanted to get poop on your pants. Can't go any place without a camera stuck in your face.
Wait, give me you want that number 37 expression?
Yeah.
The wrong side. Never shoot me from the leg.
Uh-oh. Yeah, his rock star's coming out now.
Here we go.
Here we go. He's like, that's not my good side.
See the difference?
Oh, yeah. That's much better.
I usually leave here with a big headache from all the intelligentsia that's been passed around.
He's just jealous of the landlords.
Oh, heck yes.
Yes, I even know my mammy waiting for me, praying for me. Hey, you don't have that thing. Well, where the hell is it?
I can't take much more. Let's not take much more.
Yes, you can. Don't give me that baloney.
The Cliffhangers are driving me crazy.
Not that hard, baby.
Stop money! Stop money! Money, stop!
It's not on television.
It might be, but probably in a year or so.
Oh, a year.
Yeah, it takes a while to get the post.
Some of us aren't going to be here in a year. In a year.
Which dwarf would Richard be? Richard, which dwarf would... it's so obvious. Richard is not one of the dwarfs. Richard's a gnome. Richard's the Travelocity gnome. He's never here. He's always traveling. He's on cruises. We can always use a little free publicity. Shameless. Hollywood shameless.
Oh, God.
That's it.
That doesn't send you right out the front door now.
Sorry, jealous son of a... Movie time. You know, she sat with Dennis, not you.
That's all, folks. Boy, this will wind up on the cutting room floor.
Thank you so very much for everything. It's been a pleasure.